Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for joining me on this, my journey into the constraints-led approach for BJJ. I'm your host, Sam Battlefields, and today we started off, as always, with boxing. But as I mentioned yesterday, I made it 1 minute rounds, and they were back-to-back, so there was no stopping. There was 5 of us, uneven, and what I found with this is obviously we're getting the blood pumping, so it is the warm-up. Like we've all done a little bit of limbering up. We're all a bit older. So there's certain things that we all need to stretch, strengthen, etc., etc. Prehab, rehab, myself included. And so we do that. We get into boxing. Yesterday we kind of started out with like 2.5 minute rounds. I think we did it the day before as well. And because we'd introduced gloves, what I found was that there was a little bit too much feeling out and not enough getting in there and getting the blood pumping. So changing it to the 1 minute, it really did. It changed the dynamic. One thing that I do want to kind of, I suppose, one of the things that I observed was there is still a little bit of that not respecting the punch. So there seems to be with some people that they're kind of walking you down as if, yeah, well, it doesn't really matter because I'm only going to get hit in the shoulder, and it's like, I think I'm going to have to reiterate to them that what we're looking for is the idea that if you do get a solid hit to your shoulder, even if you get your hand up in time, that could potentially be a fucking knockout punch. So, just it's not really the spirit of the game. But then again, look, it is the game, So I did see today, even, I said yesterday that it looked like we'd sort of reverted to a couple of months ago with it, but even today, like, there was, I think maybe because there wasn't so much feeling out, so it was just let's get in and do the things that we've been working on, and a lot of that was coming off, so it was actually quite beneficial. Second game, the reason why I wanted to keep that first game to a minute as well was because I really think that, well, I wanted to obviously work more on the connection stuff, but initially it was just do connection, so double hands on one limb, so 2 hands on one limb, and that was again for 1 minute rounds, back, variation between the guys, and so the goal was to get variation, and again keep warm with more grappling involved. I was involved with this. And, there's also a bit of a selfish reason, which I won't go too far into, but there is a selfish reason for this. What I really want to do is get really, really fucking good at this connection to to single or double leg to then take down. So that's what my mindset is, that's what I want to get to. I've done a bit of research and noted, and you would have seen it as well if you're watching any kind of pro grappling or anything like that. There's very little, freestyle wrestling, shoot from the outside in. It's all, it's all grip fighting, snap downs, all that kind of stuff first. So making a connection first in order to make that second connection in order to do what's needed from there. So I then played Aaron's game where we did connection to single leg, and or connection to sort of an around the body thing. Again, 1 minute. I wanted to put some pressure on this. I wanted to make it so that there was a heightened sense of drive behind it. And part of the reason, again, is because you can get too complacent when you're just playing, and it's like, oh, I'll get my arm out. No. If I've got your arm, I want to be pulling the trigger and getting that leg, and and that kind of thing is something that I need a mindset of, because if I can, I don't want to be playing a game when I've got that leg. I don't want to be playing a game when I've got that arm. I want to be pulling the trigger for the next thing. I want to be clawing to get control of that body. So watching a number of takedowns and that sort of thing, there is that connection to a secondary. So sort of climbing up. Yeah. Connection, isolating immobilizing the body in some way, getting some sort of a takedown, etc. So anyway, we then moved. I actually have got rid of control because I wanted to work heaps more on half guard. I'm starting to see that one of the reasons why I really like half guard is I kind of started to understand it early on in my career as such, and it became such a massive part of my game. But I can see that it's not a massive part of other people's game, and I think it's just because they didn't play it enough, because they played other guards. So anyway, I really took some time today to work on the buy-in for the idea of getting your chest to their to their hips for the person on top. So the game we played, the game we play is we're basically in half guard, no one's got any other connections, and then the goal for the person on top is to get as much of their chest on as much of their hips as possible, and the person on the bottom is to do the exact same thing just from on the bottom. And the fight is to basically, like, if one person's got it, you have to basically peel them off theirs and then get to your thing. Now, I did see some things actually from the more experienced guys. I actually saw them going into like a deep half more than maintaining the half guard. And for a second, I thought, I should pull it back and be like, no, we're just trying to stick to this. But I thought, you know what, fuck it, I'll allow this for the time being, because they weren't turning him over, and the other guy was kind of dropping back and doing the right thing to try and stop that occurring, or to build back from a deep half to more of a half guard. In saying that, what I did show on that was that we were looking for the best, like the absolute best outcome for the person on the bottom, which was connect your hands, right, around the, so basically pin their foot to their ass with one hand, and then connect your hand over that foot that's pinned to their ass. And I showed that as kind of like the ideal, and then in the second game for half guard, we then started from that ideal point, and the goal was, so you're at this point, like, if you're all around, their hips are almost, it's up near your sternum virtually, so you are so deep with your chest on their hips that my intention for this was that they wouldn't do what they were doing yesterday and the day before, which was straight away, well, when they didn't have their hands clasped, they kind of, instead of dragging people on and becoming their base, they were just letting it go and trying to make some space. And it was like, no, don't make space. If you're all the way underneath them, become their base and do what you want to do. But that wasn't emerging as expected in the last couple of days. So by doing this, I constrained the person on top to basically being in a position where they were fucked. They were going one way or the other. So the goal for the person on the bottom was touch their hip one side or touch their hip on the other side. So basically get the person that's on top of you, touch their hip either side, or get behind their elbows. Right? And for the most part, people were getting this. For the most part, okay? So I think today I did a couple of the buy-in stuff. I think I really did well. My language is getting I feel like I'm getting more fluent in this language. There's not so many times where I'm like, how do I word this, and then talking for 40 seconds and then realizing that's just making things worse. It definitely is. I've got the language that I need to do very specific points. We're also, as in giving very specific goal intentions, and then on top of that, I think that I'm identifying areas that need attention in order to have that, in order to bring attention to the areas that need to be fixed as such. And Aaron's doing the same. So Aaron has been kind of looking to me going, can I address this? And I'm like, yeah, it's when the question's being asked after the roll, rather than, I've got some answers for you, here's the thing. So one of the guys as well, I wanted to have a bit of a chat about this, because there was a cool video that Josh Beam, BJJ, so Josh and then BEAM, BJJ, go and check out his channel. He's a competitive blue belt who does some really cool videos. So if you get the opportunity, I strongly recommend it. This guy's videos, the way he he's able to visualize stuff and put stuff on the screen for you to understand is awesome. I'm fucking jealous, right? But he had a video yesterday where he had people like Kit Dale, Greg Souders, and Chris Hendricks, and I think his name Kevon from Bodega Jiu-Jitsu. Look, I could have been fucking massacring that, so I really want to have a chat with him though. He seems like a fucking legend. But they were all saying that it's better to have a pure beginner teaching them through the CLA pedagogy than someone who has traditional, been through the IP, the traditional method. And it's really obvious to me on a couple of things that have been coming up recently with this attention versus intention, where people have been saying things like, what am I doing wrong here? What am I doing wrong? And it's like, you're not doing anything wrong. That is a mentality that is causing a singular focus, which is the only thing that you're doing wrong is that you've got a singular technique focus, right? And it's even that is not necessarily a bad thing when you can switch that mindset, right? So one of the things I'm trying to elicit with the games that I play as well is that they are overlapping with other games that we're going to play, and that with 3 outcomes. So for example, we're deep on the half guard. They can put their hip either side, or they can go out the back. That's 3 outcomes that they can play with and move. And it was really cool to have some of the guys being like, yeah, I started doing this, he had to do this, I then had to pull back a bit, created a bit of space, it then allowed me to get my knee in, which created even more space, which allowed me to dive in, and as they pulled back on that, I was able to go out the back. And you could see that they were registering all these different things, and it was fucking cool to watch. But there's also sometimes this thing of, well, I've got a question that was asked today, and I don't think it's a bad question. I think, like in general, I just think in the context, and the question was, what is the mechanics of it, of this particular outcome, essentially. So the outcome was to get the hips as high up your body as you can while maintaining that grip around the sort of the thighs, right? And the answer is, it could be any number of things. It could be you use one leg, you use 2 legs, you use one arm, you use both arms, you use all 4 limbs, you use a combination of any of those limbs. It could be that you don't even use that and you pull yourself away. It could be that you push them. Any number of things. But when you're looking for this one direct answer, like, you use all of your body, the good thing is the outcome, because it was after the problem was felt, and then there was kind of like, well, what's the mechanics? And then it was discovered, I could use my entire body, not just my arms. And it's like, yes, great. So your attention was brought to the fact that the hips needed to be higher. How do you do that? However you fucking can, right? And I think the issue with having been taught IP for so long is you're looking for an intellectual. Here is the square peg that goes in this square hole, where there is no square peg, there is no square hole, there is no spoon. Nah, that's not a bar. That's not a bar. I was just fucking with you. But anyway, I think I did really like it. I'll be endeavouring to sort of see if I can rewire. I think that's the hardest thing is rewiring the brain. I think there's a lot to be said for, so I just want to throw this little thought into the mix as well, because 2 days ago when I took the original class, and we had chest on their hips, but hands not clasped. So it wasn't like the most ideal. The hips weren't high. It was kind of, you're crunched over, and so everyone just sort of let it go and was like, I'm going to try something else. Whereas when you've got your arms clasped, you feel a lot more like you can drag someone on. And it reminded me a little bit of how Rob Cole, I think it was Rob Cole, taught arm bars. Maybe, no, maybe it was Greg. Either way, go and check both of them out. But essentially starting at the end, right? So starting at the worst possible position, and then work from there, and then take a step back and work from there, and then take a step back until you are far enough into the thing that sequence of events actually has some clout. In this case, there's kind of 3 outcomes from this particular position, but you're in the best position possible. And the fact that and it kind of worked out that the last couple of days weren't perfect as such, because people would go, oh no, I want to be this is the perfect thing, because I can create the momentum much easier and then put them on their ass or take the back. Anyway, I'm going to leave that there. This is Sam Battlefields. You're on my journey through the constraints-led approach for BJJ. I appreciate you all coming along for the ride. Like, comment, subscribe. Much love. Peace.